Good morning. Come and join me as we look through a few books that I've added to my library. Good morning and welcome back to Tarot, Tats and Tea. We're going to be looking at some books today whilst having our essential cup of tea. This morning I'm drinking Twinings mango and pineapple with ginseng, and it also has vitamin B6 in it that is supposed to help you focus. And don't I need that at this age? My mind does tend to wander halfway through a task. You've probably noticed that from all my other videos. Talk on one topic and down a rabbit hole on another. Right, this morning I'm going to talk to you about books. I mentioned one this morning, earlier on another video I created where we were just looking at what I'm adding to my tarot collection, and not necessarily tarot decks, but things like tarot pouches, a reading cloth, and a piece of literature. So we'll have a brief look at this again, albeit it does feature in one of my other videos. Currently on my Kindle, I am reading Where the Crawdads Sing, and I have to say it's gripped me from the word go. Now, when I first heard about this book, it was on Ricochet's book club that's on Facebook, and I love dipping in and out of that page because there are so many different recommendations. Sometimes I like reading the reviews people put up, other times I like to say, well, I want to read that and find out what I think of it myself. Now, I don't know what it was about Where the Crawdads Sing, but just the title didn't seem to grab me. And that was me, as they say, judging a book by its cover. As they say, never judge a book by its cover because you just don't know what treasures it holds inside. And this is one of those books. I had chosen to look at the reviews of some of people who had read this book, and I had looked at it on the bookshelf in our local Easons, and I thought, will I, won't I, will I, won't I. I read the blurb on the back and I'm thinking, it's not the usual sort of book I read. Mind you, there are a couple in here that aren't. So I thought, well, I don't know. And it wasn't until this week my mum has come over from Wales and is staying with me for a bit of a holiday, which is great. And my mum is also an avid reader, and she has recently finished the book, and she had borrowed it from my aunt, and mum highly recommended it. So I thought, right, and I downloaded it onto my Kindle, and it really is, it grips you from page one. In fact, I'm only on chapter 4 of this. I got to chapter 4 last night. And in all honesty, it is the sort of book that holds you from the off. And it actually, you can actually feel that there's quite a sadness in the story. I'm not going to go into the details of the story because I think it's something, it's about growing up in the swamps. Okay, this family growing up in the swamps, young girl, I should say. But it's her experience, and each chapter it goes back and forth. It tells you what year they're looking at and how this young girl survives. And I have to be honest, it is only for the fact that my eyes were I was reading so much last night, my eyes were sort of shutting. I thought, right, put it down and carry on tomorrow. So Where the Crawdads Sing, definitely a thumbs up. And I hope you do go out and get it. Any of you who have read it that are watching this, please pop your findings below. It would be really great to have your input on what you think of that book. Now, I've filled my bookshelves with books that I want to look at, and it might look, oh, she's always buying books, but I always go for books where there's the 2-for-1 offer. You know, or we have here 2 for €10, that sort of thing. And these are books that I purchased some time ago, and they sort of build up because I'll get stuck in a book, then my tarot will take over, or, as you all know, Ruby takes me off on my adventures. That's my bicycle, Ruby, takes me off on my cycling adventures. Unfortunately, we've had rain this last few days, and also I don't want to waste the time that I've got with my mum. So, well, not waste the time, but I want to spend as much time with my mum as possible. So I shall not be going cycling until next week, and hopefully the weather will pick up because we've had rain an awful lot the last couple of days. See what I mean? I need to focus. I'm going off track already. So, by the way, if you're having these Twining tea bags, allow them to steep for about 3 minutes. for the flavour to sort of infuse in the water, because it takes that length of time. It also takes that scalding hotness off the water. Anyway, getting back to the books. So this is a book by David Baldacci. He is one of my favourite authors, the detective stories, etc. And this is Redemption. This is if you've read David Baldacci, he's got a series of the FBI consultant Amos Decker. And this one here, it's a #1 bestseller, and I'll read the blurb on the back for you for anybody that likes this sort of book. FBI consultant Amos Decker discovers that he may have made a fatal mistake when he was a rookie homicide detective back in his hometown. He's now compelled to discover the truth in the latest Memory Man thriller in David Baldacci's international #1 best-selling series. Decker has returned to Burlington, Ohio for a special reason. It would have been his daughter Molly's 14th birthday. Molly was brutally murdered 4 years ago in their home, along with his beloved wife Cassie and his brother-in-law. But then Decker is tracked down by a man he'll never forget, Merrill Hawkins, his first homicide arrest more than 12 years ago. Hawkins has been in prison serving a life sentence, but was recently released due to a terminal illness. Decker finds himself questioning what seemed a watertight evidence at the time. Maybe he'd been a bit too keen to get that conviction. Could Hawkins really be innocent, as he's always claimed? If so, the killer is still out there, with a possible connection to a new crime. As the body count rises and Decker and his former partner, Mary Lancaster, dig deeper, it looks as though there's a lot more to what they thought was a closed case. It's a mile-a-minute read that proves once again why David Baldacci has readers the world over flocking for more. So that is a good read, and if it's anything to go by all his other books, you will be absolutely hooked. This is one that I've actually started, and it's by Richard Osman. Those of you in the UK would know Richard Osman from the quiz programme Pointless, and I think it's Pointless anyway, so one of you might have to correct me on that. But this is the Thursday Murder Club, and it's very, very addictive. Again, this is something I tend to read some, and then when I'm finished, I feel like reading this or whatever. I do hop and skip books, and I am able to keep track of what story I'm reading. But this one is that 4 unlikely friends and a shocking murder, and it's welcome to the Thursday Murder Club. In a peaceful retirement village, 4 unlikely friends meet up once a week to investigate unsolved murders. But when a brutal killing takes place on their very doorstep, the Thursday Murder Club find themselves in the middle of their first live case. Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim and Ron might be pushing 80, but they still have a few tricks up their sleeves. Can our unorthodox but brilliant gang catch the killer before it's too late? Val McDermott, who's a wonderful author, a warm, wise and witty warning, never to underestimate the elderly. Mark Billingham, thrilling, moving, laugh out loud, funny, and Guardian, pure escapism. And it's a lovely book. Then I have a book by Karen Perry. Now, I have not read books by Karen Perry before. This is a first for me, and this is one that I haven't started yet. And it's The Boy That Never Was. I'm just going to take this out. These stickers, albeit they're great because they advertise the 2 for €10 books. You can say it's been on my shelf for some time. I just haven't got round to reading it. These stickers don't often annoy me on the covers of the books. So let's just take that off. Actually, I'll have to get a wipe and take it off. This is a truly remarkable novel. The story grips your heart from the first pages and simply never lets go, and that was written by Jeffrey Deaver. So Karen Perry's, the blurb of Karen Perry's book says, taut, smartly written, empathetic, and at times unbearably tense, The Boy That Never Was hits the bullseye. 3-year-old Dylan vanished in the middle of the night. His father, Harry, can't forgive himself for not protecting his only child. Yet Harry isn't blamed by his wife, Robin. She bears her own secret guilt. 5 years later, thousands of miles away, Harry spots an 8-year-old boy in a crowd. A boy, he is convinced, is Dylan. Desperate to find his missing son, Harry's obsession tears apart his marriage, exposing shameful secrets and shattering one of the things that he and Robin had left, and that is trust. Why won't Robin believe Harry? What is she hiding? Can the boy really be Dylan? And how far will Harry go to find their lost son? Gripping, this tense, unpredictable novel blends a thriller with the intimate family story to produce a most compulsive read. And that was a review written by John Boyne, who was the author of The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, another fantastic book. So I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into that one. I then have two books that I came across whilst on my trip to Wales, and these are by Ken Follett. Now, I've never read Ken Follett books before, and I believe they're quite unputdownable. So I've purchased here the classic masterpiece, Ken Follett, The Pillars of the Earth, okay, and the book that follows that, World Without End. That's the sequel to Pillars of the Earth. Now, these are chunky monkeys, to say the least. So let's have a look at what it says about the Pillars of the Earth. The Pillars of the Earth tells the story of Philip, Prior of Knightsbridge, a devout and resourceful monk, driven to build the greatest Gothic cathedral in the world has known, and of Tom, the mason who becomes his architect, a man divided in his soul, of beautiful, elusive lady Alina, haunted by a secret shame. Sally, you sneezing? Sally's having a sneezing attack. Sorry. Haunted by a secret shame, and of a struggle between good and evil that will turn church against state and brother against brother. A spellbinding epic tale of ambition, anarchy and absolute power set against the sprawling medieval canvas of the 12th century England. This is Ken Follett's classical historical masterpiece. So that's the first, and that sounds quite interesting, because I love historical pieces of work, but I also love it when you've got this anarchic, this sort of good versus evil, light, dark. I just find them quite enjoyable, and there's a few books I've read with that sort of genre, and I'm just trying to think of the title of one. It's on my bookcase there. Can't think of it just now, but again, that's all around the church and history and how good overcomes evil. The sequel to the book: on the day after Halloween in the year of 1327, 4 children slip away from the cathedral city of Kingsbridge. They are a thief, a bully, a boy genius, and a girl who wants to be a doctor. In the forest, they see 2 men killed. As adults, their lives will be braided together by ambition, love, greed, and revenge. They will see prosperity and famine, plague and war. One boy will travel the world, but come home in the end. The other will be a powerful, corrupt nobleman. One girl will defy the might of the medieval church. The other will pursue an impossible love. And always they will live under the long shadow of the unexplained killing they witnessed on that fateful childhood day. Ken Follett's masterful epic, The Pillars of the Earth, enchanted millions of readers. Now, World Without End takes the reader back to medieval Kingsbridge 2 centuries later, as the men, women and children of the city once again grapple with the devastating sweep of historical change. And that's what's happening world over, really. So much historical change, but for our last few decades, things seem to be changing really, really quickly, whether it's technology, whether it's just life in general. But that is looking at centuries ago, something that we can just get lost in and enjoy. The last book we're going to look at is one I briefly touched on in a tarot video earlier on. That's Madame Barova. And this is all about a tarot reader, palmist and clairvoyant who's retiring from her sort of little hut on the seafront in Brighton. She's been there for 50 years. So she needs a rest and a little piece of life for herself. Before that, however, she has to fulfill a promise made a long time ago. In London, it's time for another woman to make a fresh start. Billy has lost her place in the world and discovers something that leaves her very identity in question. Determined to find answers, she must follow a trail which might just lead right to Madame Barova's door. In a story spanning over 50 years, Ruth Hogan conjures a magical world of 1970s holiday camps and seaside entertainers and eccentrics. Young people with their lives before them make choices which echo down the years, and a Wall of Death rider who is part of a love story which will last through time. That's not the sort of book I tend to go for. I'm not really one for love stories as such. However, I think because this has a tarot baseline to it, I thought that is going to be a book to add to my collection. So folks, whether it's physical books or Kindle, whatever it is you're reading, enjoy. And don't forget, don't bend the pages, use a good bookmark. Take care, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.